Hi everybody, welcome back. Happy New Year to you, and it's good to be back. And I thought this first episode of Year 2 on Hat Life Adventures, we would look at the adventurous life of the Fedora. It started its life on the theater stage and then found its way into ladies' fashion, and then found its way into the lives of royalty, and then to the factory worker, and then to the businessman, and then to the stars of the silver screen and the stage. Yes, the Fedora started its life as a ladies' hat. In 1882 in a play called Fedora in France that was first performed here in 1889 in the United States. And then it took off for ladies' fashion, and it wasn't until 1924 when Prince Edward of Wales, who was heir to the throne, to the British throne, and did eventually become king, but then abdicated his throne, not even after a year of being king. In 1924, he came over here to the United States on a trip, and he wore a fedora. And Prince Edward was a ladies' man. He was an adventurer. He was kind of a rebel. And after his visit here, men everywhere in this country wanted themselves a fedora. And the fedora that he wore was similar to this right here. It had a tall crown, had a wide brim, had a ribbon band on it with a bow. It was a soft felt hat. And let's talk about the anatomy real quick. This part right here that goes on top of the head is the crown. That is the crown of the hat. This part right here is called the brim of the fedora. And most fedoras have snap brims. You snap it up, snap it down. Most of them also have a ribbon band with a bow, although you can have a leather band on there or a braided rope, really any type of band. And this is actually a wool fedora in a teardrop crease, and we'll get to that in a minute. But you also have, this is a rabbit felt. So you can do fur felt or you can do wool felt. Fur felt is generally best. It holds up better in the inclement weather, in the rain and in the snow. And it's a very versatile hat. Shields you from, shields your eyes from the sun, like what it's doing for me right now. And keeps the rain off of you, and the crown holds in the heat. So on a cold day like today, you don't freeze to death. So men all around the country wanted a fedora after Prince Edward came over here, and it found its way onto the factory floor. Working men, blue collar, white collar working men, bootleggers wore fedoras, gangsters, mobsters, men like Bugsy Siegel and Al Capone, famous outlaws, they wore fedoras, and Eliot Ness, one of the main lawmen that chased them. It also found its way back onto the stage with jazz musicians and big band musicians. And authors such as Raymond Chandler, writing about his private detective Philip Marlowe, wore a fedora. So it gained a wide popularity amongst all walks of life. It really was a staple for the everyday man, the working man, the gentleman. It was a working hat, a hat of sophistication. And of course, with movie stars like Cary Grant and Jimmy Stewart, Humphrey Bogart, of course, Spencer Tracy, Clark Gable, and Gary Cooper, they all wore fedoras too. So during that time, during the 30s and 40s, it was odd to see a man without a hat. He running errands, just going about his day, going to work, coming from work, going to a business meeting, going to the club. The fedora was really a mainstay and a staple of what the men wore. You weren't fully dressed until you had a fedora. So after Prince Albert came over here, why did it gain such popularity, and why did it stay so popular for at least 20 years, from 1924 to 1944? Well, the thing is, it is shapeable, it's moldable. You can shape it to how you feel. When you bought it at a store, rather than it coming from a factory shaped like this, you bought it at the store and it came open crown, much like this. And if I were to steam it a little bit, I could get that crease out of there like that. But this is how you bought it. You bought it, it generally looked like this, but it was all snapped up, just like that. And then the shop owner, the salesperson, they would bash it for you or crease it for you. You can call it a crease or a bash. And what they would do is they would put in your own personal, how you wanted it to be. There we go, there's a center dent. And then you put in your pinch here. And there's your pinch, there's your fedora. And no two fedoras were alike. They were all uniquely designed. They were all uniquely shaped. And you could shape it depending on your mood. Your own personal hat, like this right here. If you want to have a teardrop, boom. There you go. There's just an on-the-fly teardrop. If you wanted to do a pork pie setup, this is what you do. Do it like that. And then put it on and you have a completely different feel. And being made out of fur, it kept you warm and it kept you dry. It kept you out of the elements and you didn't have a need for an umbrella. So the mid to late 40s, that was generally the peak. And then it started to decline. And there's a lot of notions that people have as to why the fedora fell out of its most popular use. A lot of folks say that it was veterans coming home from World War II, that they didn't want to wear anything on their head anymore. They were, tired of wearing helmets. A lot of people say that the roof lines in cars got shorter and that kept people from wearing their hats and made it uncomfortable. And some folks blame President John F. Kennedy for not wearing a hat. Although he did wear a top hat at his inauguration. He took it off for the cameras to give his inauguration speech, but he did actually wear a top hat. But then again, not everybody stopped wearing fedoras like some would have you believe, because you could still find vintage hats on eBay. You can find them at estate sales. Generally, they can be had, and people have passed them down. Like my granddad, let's see, he wore a hat, and I have only one of his hats. This is a Stetson, and although it's not made out of fur, it is a Stetson, and it is a fedora. It doesn't fit me, so I'm not going to put it on. And I also have a couple of my great-granddad's hats, although my dad has them at his house, so I don't have them with me today. And my great-granddad lived until the 1990s, and my granddad lived, and he passed away in the mid-70s. So gentlemen still wore fedoras. Now, as far as the decline goes, I have my own little notions about it. I watched recently, over the Christmas holidays, I watched 2 Cary Grant movies, Charade and To Catch a Thief, and those are 2 of his later movies. And in neither one of those movies did he wear a fedora. So men might have been thinking, okay, well, fedoras are going out of fashion. He's not even wearing one in his movies. Another thing, in the mid-60s, a popular show at the time was the Andy Griffith Show. And Andy Griffith didn't wear a hat, famously didn't wear a hat. He didn't wear a gun either, but he didn't wear a hat. Now his sidekick Barney did wear a hat, and Barney was a little goofy. So that might have had something to do with the decline in the popularity of the fedora. Because like it or not, fashion is shaped by Hollywood. Another one of the things that I think had to do with the downfall of fedoras, or the decline in popularity of fedoras, was that headrests started being used in automobiles. Now my first car was a 68 Mustang. It did not have a headrest, but it wasn't a deluxe model. Now, from what I understand, from 69 and onward, headrests really started becoming a thing in cars. And I know that whenever I get into a vehicle that's got a headrest in it, I can't wear my hat. I can't lean back and drive. I have to be leaning forward. And it's very uncomfortable to drive. So if it's got a removable headrest, I take the headrest out so I can wear my hat. The roof line on that 68 Mustang, the reason why I mentioned this, it was plenty. I had plenty of room in there to wear a hat. And on cars nowadays, I still have plenty of room to wear a hat. So even though through the 60s and 70s the sales and use of the Fedora really did decline, it didn't die. The Fedora did not die as its use for an accessory for men. And helping keep the Fedora alive came along a very popular character by the name of Indiana Jones. Indiana Jones wore a brown fedora, much like this one right here. Now of course they made several different fedoras for the movies. So, I mean, his was, sometimes it was shaped a little more traditional, like this right here. It was also shaped a little more adventurous, like this right here. And even still a little more adventurous, like this one right here. This is a green one. Indiana Jones didn't wear a green one, but still. It doesn't exactly look like the one that I'm wearing. Still a fedora though. So then came along Indiana Jones. Michael Jackson, a very popular musician. He wore a fedora throughout the 80s. On TV, Mike Hammer was a popular detective, and he wore a fedora. It even found its way into popular science fiction with Star Trek The Next Generation. A couple of episodes there. Period pieces. They went onto what's called the holodeck and went back in time. And the captain of the ship, Captain Picard, played his favorite literary fiction hero, Dixon Hill. And he wore a fedora. And I have an actual fedora that I call my Dixon Hill hat right here. And then you also had Jack Nicholson with his movie The Two Jakes, which was the sequel to the film Chinatown. And he wore a fedora. He wore a fedora in that, and all the men pretty much wore fedoras in that. And here we'll put this one on. It's kind of a throwback. Got the teardrop shape. And Indiana Jones, being a popular film series, not just a one-off movie, really helped keep the fedora going strong. Stetson even came out with the Temple Fedora, named after the Temple of Doom. And see, let's put on this green one here. Show you a little bit of versatility. Show you how different fedoras can be. And see how this is not exactly a perfect shape. See, I'm somebody who doesn't like hard creases to make it look like it came from the factory. I like the fact that it looks like somebody hand creased the hat, that it has a personal touch to it. And that's one of the great things about the fedora, that you don't have to have it perfectly creased. You just have to have your own character built into it. Now, something to stay away from if you want to get a good hat, stay away from the hats at places like Target and Walmart. They're not made of fur felt. They're made of probably wool and some kind of paper and maybe even some plastic. I don't even know. But they have tears and heartache written all over them, and you do not want to get you one of those hats, especially if you want to look good and you want it to hold up to the elements. You want it to protect you, and you want to be proud of what you're wearing. So for years and years, men have thought that the fedora really completed the outfit that they were wearing, whether it was a very casual outfit to a formal outfit with a suit. They really like to wear a fedora. I like to wear a fedora. It really seems to complement you, protect you. You don't have to deal with a silly umbrella. Nothing against umbrellas, they have their place. It's really a very versatile piece of clothing. And also with the resurgence, you've seen Peaky Blinders and Boardwalk Empire. Indiana Jones still has had movies coming out here recently. The Blacklist, the main character on that, on the mystery show, The Blacklist, he wears a fedora. In Jurassic Park, there's been a couple of characters in that series that have worn fedoras. So if you want to get you a fedora, what do you do? Well, like I said, stay away from Target, stay away from Walmart. If you have a hat shop in town, you're very lucky. Go to a hat shop close to you. Go in there and take your time. That's the first thing you want to do, is take your time. If you can, take somebody with you who loves you and doesn't want you to look goofy. Try on more than a couple of hats. You don't want to just try on one and say, that's no good, and then move on about your day. If you really want to get you a good hat, you're going to try on several hats. And make sure you look in the mirror. Make sure you have, like, if you can, have 2 or 3 different mirrors at different angles so you can see what it looks like on you, like a 360 view. So you know, so you like how it looks in the back, so you like how it looks in the front, on the side. And you know, try on different heights for the crown, different crown heights, different brim widths. Now you can try on a wool hat. You can try on other materials other than fur to see what looks good on you, because a wool hat's not, you know, it'll give you the dimensions that you want to have. And you know, there are some decent wool offerings out there, and you can wear them on a beautiful sunny day like today that's cold and it's going to keep you warm, but you won't want to wear it in a downpour. Like this beaver felt hat right here. I've gotten it wet, and I let it dry. I let it sit and dry, and then I just kind of brushed off the spots that it had the next day on it. And now with the internet, you have a lot of guys who are what I like to call mom and pop shops. They are stepping out on their own and making their own handmade fedoras. All kinds of hats, really, not just fedoras. They make cowboy hats and pork pies and hummingbirds and all kinds of stuff. But today we're just talking about fedoras. Another episode, we'll talk about all the other types of hats. But yeah, they stepped out on their own, and generally they are hat fans who taught themselves and maybe mentored or apprenticed under someone who already was making hats. So these are handmade hats that you can get online. And I have several episodes on the channel about folks who make their own hats. The Hatter Spotlight series focuses on guys who make their own hats. And when you get in contact with these guys, they'll probably ask you all kinds of questions. They may even ask you how tall you are. Of course, they're going to ask you what your head size is. They're more than willing to help you with, I don't want to say this. They're very willing to make you a hat that you will enjoy, you will be proud of, you'll be thankful to have, and that you will wear about town and, you know, gain more word of mouth for their business. Hatters nowadays are kind of like an old school type of business, what I like to say, is because they want to make quality and they want it to last and they want repeat business. A lot of these big companies, they just want to make a sale. They don't really care about repeat business, but these individual hatters, they care about your repeat business and word of mouth. So they really have an old school mentality, and they're very helpful. Like this beaver felt hat here, it is a handmade hat. And the gentleman, Kurt Brackman over at Broken Skull Hat Company, he asked me all kinds of questions, and he made it, and this is exactly what I wanted. Like, I love this hat. This is a great hat. I wear it all the time. I wear it all the time. Now, and also, the Advantage that I shaped for you and shown you, this is actually a factory-made hat. But the gentleman that owns Advantage, Thomas, he asked me some questions about how I would like it styled, and he styled it for me the way I would want it styled. And let's see here. The hat that you first saw me wearing today, the Akubra Federation 4, it is an Australian model, and it comes from the Hattery or Hats Direct out of Katoomba in Australia, and their customer service is fantastic. And when you call them up or you email them and they want to know what your head size is, and they will pick out a good size just for you. They'll probably ask you some questions that you'll answer, and they'll pick you out a great, wonderful hat. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. I bought 5 hats from them. They're just wonderful people. So if you have any questions or if you have any comments, please drop those questions and comments into the comments section below. I really love to have a discussion on hats. And if you want to know more about hats, I also have some hat shaping videos. I have playlists on Indiana Jones Hatter Rundown if you're looking specifically for an Indiana Jones hat. I have the Hatter Spotlight playlist that has different mom and pop hatters. I have some hat shaping videos on there to where I shaped this Fed 4 right after I got it. I also did one on the Cotswold where I shaped it with water. All right, well, if you enjoy what I'm doing here, if you like the content that I'm putting out, if you like these episodes, please like the video and make sure you're a subscriber. I know YouTube, if you're a frequent watcher of a channel, YouTube will just throw the episodes from that channel right there into your feed. And you might think you're a subscriber, but you might not be a subscriber because YouTube just slides it right in there, which is great for me. You know, it keeps putting me out there. But make sure you hit that subscribe button for me. That really helps me out. All right, well, like I say again, Happy New Year. Oh, and we have hit over 1,000 subscribers. So thank you so much for subscribing. I really appreciate it. Onward and upward on the channel, and I'm looking forward to year 2. It's going to be a fantastic year. Got some big things planned up, and hopefully they do pan out. All right, well, thank you so much for coming back. Until we see you again, y'all have a wonderful day, and God bless.